What's the deal? I'm Dale Cover. Welcome to a special episode of the What the Deal Dale podcast. I got two guests, Karla Pineda and Jenny Weeks, for joining us today. How you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Doing great. It's good to be here.
Oh, this is great. I'm excited, man, because we got different guests today. Karla is a Reiki master, shamanic healer, and spiritual coach.
Yes.
I can use some coaching. And Jenny is an international psychic medium and animal communicator.
Yeah.
Now, this is some interesting stuff. I'm about to learn some stuff today.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
You will be educated.
I will be educated.
You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today.
Okay.
What your ancestors thought about you now.
Yeah.
But, so tell the people what you do. So,
Yeah.
Karla, Reiki master.
Yes.
I'm familiar with Reiki.
Yeah.
Maybe like, it's been a while now. Probably going back. I remember when my wife and I first got married.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been 18 years. We're going on 19 years.
Oh,
Long
wow,
time, right?
congratulations.
Yes,
Nice.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's awesome.
But we had a friend at that time,
Mhm.
and I remember we was at our old house, and she was telling us about Reiki and sharing us. But at that time, I wasn't ready to understand it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was like way before people were like really like ready to grasp it.
But there was
I feel
no
like.
internet. So
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
have certain knowledge or understandings of different things besides what was
Right.
normally taught. Right? I guess that's what I wasn't ready at the time.
Right.
But now I think my brain could
Could kind of
can
understand
handle
it.
it a little bit better.
Yeah, even when I started, so I started 8 years ago.
Mhm.
I was a student at URI, and my
Shout out to URI. I'm a URI. I didn't graduate, but I went there and drank a lot.
Yeah, the union parties.
Yeah. It broke a couple of pool tables.
might have seen you.
All that kind of stuff.
So my psychology professor actually at the time, she's Native American, also a Reiki master teacher. And it was funny, everything happened kind of by chance. Like I wasn't supposed to be in her class, I went to the wrong class that day, but then we had like this weird connection, like I felt like she was like seeing through me or something, and I was like, what is this? Like I just felt like this weird familiarity with her. And then after that, it was like my senior year, she was like, oh, take Reiki 1 and see how you feel about it. And it was like my abilities just like exploded after that, and it was like exactly what I needed to give me like, purpose and to show me my path. And so ever since then. And now Jenny actually initiated me into being a Reiki master, because she's also a Reiki master. So I, studied it for years and did it on myself and my family and my friends. And then just recently I got certified as a Reiki master, but that was mostly because it was so hard for my previous group of people that I was studying with to get together, just scheduling reasons and stuff like that. So I did have a lot of time to really practice it and hone my skills and everything.
Okay. And I'm going to share this on my other Facebook group.
Okay.
Not being rude.
It's okay. You're like, I don't care.
Like, yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love the internet.
And then, so then shamanic healing, that's been, and we discussed this at PolishCon 2018, where we met.
Yes.
Shout out to Sterling Clinton Spellman.
Yes, that was awesome.
Who really made this connection happen. And she was also on your show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great guest.
Yeah, she's so fun. She has great energy. So we talked about it there, but I, have always had this ability ever since I was little. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the Reiki. You use not your own energy, but you harness the energy from all around you. It comes out through my hands, and I can, feel people's like energy field, their aura, biofield, whatever you would want to call it. And I've come to be more in touch this year. Actually, there's been like transformation after transformation has been happening for me. We were actually at the cemetery, just like walking through. It's a very peaceful place, and we both had the same vision. I'm not going to say what the vision was, but just, because certain things are sacred. But we both had this vision at the exact same time, and it was almost like, I almost felt like, did you feel like almost like a little force field happened around us?
It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. The energy was around us. The sun came down on both of us, and it was like...
It was like almost like, you're ready.
Yeah.
And
when was this?
We saw the same thing.
When
still
was
gotta
this?
share. I'm still trying to share.
February.
Okay, you share, we'll talk.
February.
Was it?
February.
There was still snow on the ground.
Yeah.
And it was like the first like really like sunny day.
Yeah.
It was freezing.
Yeah, it was and windy. It was like...
But we could feel the sun, and we just, there's, many traditions that talk about, the power of the sun and harnessing that as an actual energy and power that you can actually take in, almost like as you take in breath, through air, as you take in water. The sun is the same thing. So, I was just like, thanking basically Mother Nature for the sun, and it was a wrap from that.
How did you two connect?
Oh, that's another one.
That's a cool story. It's a
Do you
really
wanna
cool
tell? You want me
story.
to tell?
Sure. I actually met her sister. It was through her sister, and then through her other sister. And I went to actually go do a Reiki session for the baby sister. And then
Who's not a
Karla,
baby.
well, who's not a baby,
Yeah.
right? The little one, the younger one.
She's like 27.
She'll be a baby when she's 60 to your mother.
Yeah.
She'll always be the baby.
Right.
Yeah.
So they came over while I was doing the Reiki, which ended up turning into a reading, and then a little bit of Reiki, and then Karla and her other sister came over, and that's when we first met, and there was like a really cool connection.
Like I saw her, so it's funny because I was a little nervous because I was like, oh my god, like I had never really been around. I mean, I had seen other people who were, psychics, my grandmother, and stuff like that, but I don't know why I was like so nervous. Like I was like, oh my god, like I was meeting a celebrity.
Normal, like my grandmother, stuff like that.
Just all my ancestors.
Everybody.
All the ancestors.
They're all shamans. And so I saw her,
Mine cooks.
and it was like the same thing as my Reiki teacher at the time. It was like I was like, do I know her from somewhere? And like I felt, and even before that, I know she was having, I think you had like a toothache or whatever that summer, and so my sister was telling me, she was like, oh, I feel so bad, like she, she's having a lot of pain, so she can't do a reading today or whatever. It was like a different day, and then I had this like immediate sense, like I need to help her, like I want to help her. And because I'm a healer myself, that we kind of like tend to do for everybody else, and then we kind of like leave ourselves last, and then that can create some problems or whatever. So we have to really balance that out. And so then
I was
day,
guilty of that. I was
very guilty of that because she's such a giver, and she's always trying to just be the you're a Cancerian. She's the sign of Cancer.
Take care of everybody.
She's the mama of everybody. So I felt like she just needed help, so I did a Reiki session like right there.
Yeah.
And
She was like, you want some Reiki? I was like,
it was like, boop, like it was like best friends.
Yeah.
Like
it
instantly.
was awesome, instantly.
Yeah. There was no ego. There was no
And I'm
shyness,
picky.
weirdness.
I don't let people do Reiki.
Me neither.
I'm picky about energy.
Yeah.
When you work with energy and other people's energy, you get a vibe. And being psychic, you get a vibe about a person. And so I'm very careful about whom I let into my field. And so for her to say, you want to do Reiki, and me say yes, that was like an amazing thing. I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Now, you mentioned energy, and it seems like the basis of, I'll say Reiki.
Everything we do is
everything.
energy.
Can you explain that energy? Like what it's for?
Can we do a little demonstration?
Sure.
Put your cup down.
Okay, you gonna do it on my cup?
No. I'm gonna show you.
Could I do a precursor before we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So energy is the foundation of the universe, right? You're made of energy. We're all made of energy. This is really not solid. It's moving, right?
It's all molecules.
It's all molecules in constant motion. So we tap into that movement and that motion. And now Karla will show you. That's it. But for people who don't really understand about energy work, and people talk about it like it's a new age thing or it's a crazy thing.
Or it's this weird, like, people are like, is this like voodoo? I'm like, no.
It's based in science.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's based in science.
Yeah.
It's physics, quantum
And,
physics.
well, and I was about to say that when I told you about 18 years ago, I wasn't ready to make sense of it. But since I've been studying quantum physics, and once I saw the double slit theory, it made me like, okay, because that's something that you can prove, right? It's scientific, it's repeatable.
Exactly.
So that set me off on a certain path, because I'm a scientist by trade. I develop software, so when it comes to bits and stuff like that, it kind of makes a certain amount of sense to me.
Right.
And I have a certain amount of interest. So when I saw the double slit experiment and quantum physics, it led me. I like, okay, so
that energy has an intelligence to it. When it's being observed, it changes the way it performs.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
The double slit experiment. Everybody look it up.
Yes. So which
Learn
I guess
some
represents
today.
the infinite possibilities get collapsed into a certain reality based on the observer, right?
I'm so glad you just said that, because that's gonna have a lot to do with what we do.
Right.
So let me do a little thing. Everybody watching, you guys can do it too.
You guys
so you
watching?
can feel it. All right.
Okay.
So I want you to clap your hands. Clap. clap. No, just kidding.
Okay, clap, clap.
All right, so now we're gonna rub them together. Sometimes I like to do this just because it creates like almost like a little infinity symbol. All right, and now you're gonna make almost like a little ball, and you're gonna start to feel. You can move it around a little bit, and people are like, "Oh, it's just heat," but what is heat? It's energy, right? So you can also start to feel almost like there's like little strings going or ping-ponging back and forth through your hands, or you can start to feel tingliness. And with this, you can even use your breath, and you can start to make it a bigger and bigger little ball of energy. If you don't start to feel it, you could even keep your hands a little more together and then move one hand, and then you can start to feel that there's some sort of almost like I always what is it called, a magnet, like you know when you put two magnets and they have that like almost like that repelling force. That's what is basically what we're kind of feeling. And then you can use this energy ball for fun things.
Almost like a snowball. Just you know when you're packing a snowball?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's you can feel it, and you can actually almost stop at a certain point. If you pay attention to the energy. Like people will clap their hands. It's like no, that you can feel a resistance when you go to clap your hands once you create that energy ball.
Yep. And then sometimes what I do,
Sorry.
like if
have it fun.
if you want to like give yourself a little energy boost, what I do is I kind of
There you go.
bathe myself with it. You threw it
Right.
towards everybody else.
Right.
And
You're just
that's a little
Reiki people.
Yeah.
Right?
Good
That's
job.
Good energy.
It's your first lesson. So yeah, that's something that people can do to really start to feel it. You could also feel it in your chakras, which are 7 energy centers that are within your body. There's 7 main ones. So there's the crown, the third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra right underneath the belly button, and then the root chakra, which starts at the base of the spine and also encompasses the legs and the feet. And there's also the earth chakra. So you could also do what I like to call an energy hug. So you put your, what is it? Let me see, left hand on the heart, because left is feminine energy, so yin energy. Right is masculine energy, which is yang. And so you always want to put the gentle energy on top of your heart, and then the stronger energy on your solar plexus, and then you just breathe into it. This is also good for people with anxiety. You can start to breathe, and it really starts to like calm you down, because the heart and the solar plexus are kind of like a little bridge. Yeah, you feel it? You feel it?
I see older people, they be like, Lordy, Lord.
Yeah, see? How, or when
it's
something
like a
happens.
natural thing that you do
people are like,
without realizing.
and it's like you naturally nurture your heart. Or something is touching, you're like, oh. Or when you forget something, you're like, what is that? And it's like, this is the center of intuition, your third eye. So it's what people like naturally, or they're like, what's that address? I can't remember. It's almost like you're like knocking on your third eye, like, give me help.
Right.
So it's funny because we all do these things, like not even realizing it.
Okay, so that leads me to another question. Is it a gift for one, or something that everyone has?
Everyone
has it. Everyone has it. You just have to put in the work to learn how to use it. So everybody, it's not like you don't have energy and I have energy, because I'm not using my own. So I'm getting it from all around us. So Rei, little lesson. So Reiki, R-E-I, R-E-I is universal. Ki, also in the Kung Fu movies, Chi, is life force energy. So it's universal life force energy. So you could call it,
It's the flow.
It's just like the energy's all around us. It's what animates you with spirit. You know what I mean?
So for you having it, for everyone having it, and everyone having these gifts, some people are born more active than others. You know what I mean? Like some kids have better vision in school. Some kids have a more acute hearing, right? And some people have their third eye developed. Some people have that natural gift where they want to touch something and it gets better, like their pet's not feeling well or their knee is hurting.
Or plants.
And so it's just I think, honestly, a personal opinion of mine is when we go to school, we're made to fit in.
They undo.
And,
I put out a meme like a few months ago, whatever. It's kind of how I felt at the time, and I was saying, you knew everything before they convince you that you didn't.
Absolutely.
You know, that's kind of how I felt.
Before they
you know?
programmed you to
Yeah.
say.
Like I feel like
this is how
children
you're
know
supposed
the
to be.
answers
Yeah.
to a lot of stuff.
They're born intuitive.
Because I remember when as a child, like you think, oh yeah, you think anything's possible or nothing is weird to you.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But then you right? You're told more things. And then it's just
Exactly.
like-
Children see the world as magical, and that's why my ultimate goal is to one day have like a little academy or school or something where I teach children, you know, how to develop their innate gifts, and that way it's like we're sending them off into the world and they can change the world because children are our future. So if we're teaching them from a young age, like my nieces, you know, I'm trying to teach them as much as I can of what I do. And they, you know, one of my nieces, she's a little more into it than the other one because she started a little younger. And she's like, look at the magic in my hands. Or she'll say the green light. And I never told her anything about this because green is a very healing color. So it's what I use actually when I'm healing. I use the color green. And so she says, you know, just use the green light. And so they already have it in them. That movie Moana is like, so there's a lot of truth to that movie. It's funny.
Parents say, there ain't no green light. Psh, get over there and clean up that room.
That's right.
Yeah, stop talking all that nonsense.
Here's a question though. Do you think there's a concerted effort to remove or to hide that so that people don't look inward for power and they look outward?
Wow, we're going to get into some trouble today.
Yes.
We are going to get into some trouble. Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. Absolutely 100%. Because with us all thinking for ourselves and doing our own gifts, we're not fitting in. We're not, all right.
We're not moldable.
I'm trying to be careful how I say it.
We're going to say it because I'm
Right.
rebel for the light, baby.
You know,
Rebel for life.
you know.
They're trying to program
Yeah,
you.
which is
TV's
easier
trying
to
to program
control.
you.
It's easier to subdue the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I'm sorry. It is. It's just easier for the powers that be to keep us down. If we're down, then things can be controlled the way they want. Things can go down the way they want them to go down.
So if, you know,
I'm
if
trying
we're
to not say so much. Like,
oh, we're going to say
Say
it.
so.
We're gonna
Yeah.
say
No one's,
everything.
you know.
Yeah.
you know, well,
It's what people need to know.
Well, we know we've got big pharma. We've got people at the top making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that there are natural cures. You know, we know there are natural cures. We know there's energy work. We know that everything we know, we're born with. Everything we need to know, we already have
It's not
within
external.
us.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if everybody thought this, would we need the pharmaceutical company? No, because, you know, like my sister was really sick 2 weeks ago, and she was like, oh, I can't get into the walk-in, it's too long of a wait. I'm like, come over here, let me do freaking healing on you. She comes in, next day, she had like a double ear infection for like 2 weeks or something. She couldn't get rid of it. She just couldn't get to the doctor because her daughter, and she was busy, gone the next day. Like, you know what I mean? So if people really knew about this and were able to really harness their own power, we wouldn't need a lot of stuff that we think we need. You know, we wouldn't need to pay thousands of dollars to go to the hospital all the time.
Here's another question. How much does one's belief play into the effectiveness of, let's say, healing?
I believe, I mean, you can say whatever you think, but I believe that it's always so. Energy is an intelligent force, like you were saying with the double slit experiment. It's proven that energy has its own intelligence, that it's gonna go where it needs to go. So that's what I say. Like when I am doing a Reiki session or shamanic session, it's gonna go where it needs to go anyway. But yes, when you believe something more, then I feel like it's more powerful. You know what I mean? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Reiki goes where it's needed. The energy goes where it's needed. It knows where to go. Your body knows what it's supposed to do. Your molecules know what they're supposed to do. But because you think, like, I think I'm heavy, so I'm going to stay heavy. We have a new body. We shed a new body like every 4 years. So
There's an opportunity to...
there's an opportunity. If I change my thought, I'm going to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's that
And you've
same
been.
kind of thing. And I have been.
Because
And I have been. And so it is all about thought. But that's where we go back to the schools. We go back to being taught and programmed when we're little kids. So when you talked about children knowing what they, knowing everything. I could talk to the dogs and my pets when I was a kid. So when I went to kindergarten, I thought everybody could talk to Chico. I thought everybody could talk to I thought everybody could talk to
So
Blackie the
cute.
cat, right?
Yeah.
So I was made fun of, I was ridiculed, and I learned 4.5, 5 years old to shut my mouth and just be quiet, because it's like, and then I was scarred for life. The rest of my life in school, I was weird.
Because you had talked about your gifts.
I talked about my gifts.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle for me, and I would never fit in, and it was good because I didn't care. But sometimes it was lonely, and so, but you don't know what you can talk about with normal people then after that,
Right.
because you don't know, you're going to say something that's normal to you,
Yeah.
and they don't know what the heck you're talking about, and now you're the geek, you're the weird kid. You know, you're the kid. Now they're thinking you're doing experiments at your house, and you know,
witchcraft.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's
which-
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that either.
you know.
We'll talk about that
So
later.
that's what happened to me, and so it's the same kind of thing. And so I had to stop. And then later on with my gifts, and then we're taught in religion, in churches, that that's from the devil. So then once again, we're putting it down. So you know what? I
Yes.
walked away from all that, and I'm helping people, and lives are changing. And so if each one of us could tap into what we were born with, we would change the world like that. Today. The world would be different today.
And the world is changing with this whole new alignment that's happening. I talked about it on Rebel for the Light on my
Okay.
Facebook page.
Okay.
The new alignment of Uranus into Taurus and coming, out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. It's like for the next 7 years, it is said that everything's gonna just kind of go like upside down before it goes right side up, basically. And like we're seeing it with the volcanoes in Hawaii. There's been the continent of Africa is like splitting open, splitting apart. So many like weather changes have been happening that we just haven't seen. Whales are beaching themselves. Like everything is changing. So as we are as Mother Gaia, or as I like to call her, or Mother Nature, Earth is changing, so are we. So we're little mini universes, basically. Or let's say we're like the Earth. So like with Reiki, if you're blocked, like let's say my rivers are polluted, because if I'm like the Earth, and then if I do Reiki, I'm unpolluting, those rivers. So then that flow, or let's say the water, the flow of energy is able to freely move through me, and then I'm a healthier person. I'm not gonna have that like constant back pain. I'm not gonna have depression or anxiety or migraines. You know what I mean? So it's like when you are able to have that clear energy, then you're able to be more of a balanced person. And that's how our planet is right now. It's kind of like going through the changes of getting to a better balance. We could even see some changes happening with our currency, with our politics, with everything.
Now, when you say in age, you said age of Aquarius? Is that what you said? What does that mean? A time period of?
You're a little more versed in this because I
Sure.
delve into it, but
Every 2,000 years, basically, approximately, because there's not like we created time, but every 2,000 years approximately, we travel through the zodiac, like on our big path there. And so we just left the age of Pisces, which is interesting because the Jesus era, fishers of men, right? Pisces, the two fishes, is Pisces here. And so now moving into that, we're transitioning into that age of Aquarius. It's supposed to be brotherly love, altruistic, so there's supposed to be, people are turning to higher realms, to higher ideas, to more spirituality as opposed to the set religions. There's a difference between religion and spirituality.
And I would agree with that. And I attributed a lot of that to more information. But I guess that just was part of
that
what it
goes
was.
hand in
That
hand
is-
with
yeah.
everything.
That is what it was.
The age of
Absolutely.
information.
Right. Because look at the Dark Ages, look at what happened in history since, let's say, 2,000 years ago, let's say. Not much happened, and then in the last maybe 150 years, we've got the telephone, the telegraph, and now we've got like cell phones, and we've got many computers in our hands, and we're talking to people in an instant around the world. That was because we were leaving the age that it had already begun the changes had already begun and the information was available, but it was because that energy was already shifting. People were already looking for that enlightenment, like the Renaissance, the Age of Enlightenment. That's when things started, slowly but surely, and then as the technology happened, it's like, look at when Star Wars first came out, right? And now they had to redo it and digitally remaster it because it got better, things got better, but more quickly because it started, but it began a few centuries ago, but it was at the end of that 2,000-year cycle. So you're right, but there's a science to it because astrology is a science.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So when you said you were young and you knew you can communicate with animals.
Right.
Let me ask you this, right? So
Sure.
I always wondered as a kid, like when I think, like if I'm going to go to the supermarket, in my head, I'm saying to myself in English, I think in English. I'm about to go to the superstore and do this and let me make sure I get my money. Like I talk to myself in English.
Sure.
And I always wondered, if I talk to myself in English, that means I had to learn a language before I can communicate with myself. Well, obviously not, because babies think, and I always wonder, how do babies think? What language do they talk to? Do they say goo 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 and then goo goo goo? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that, when you communicate with
Actually, that's interesting because you get a baby from Spain and a baby from the U.S. and they're goo-goo-goo-gooing. They still know what they're talking about, don't they? It's not English or Spanish. It is baby goo-goo-goo-goo. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. But it's true.
So like when you communicate with the animals per se, what is that language like? Like how does that, is that an energy? Like how does that look for you?
For me, there are a couple of different ways. If I'm going to be talking to like your pet, I will actually introduce myself in English, but with thought and visualization, because it's more of a telepathy. So I'll show them images. And seriously, if I want my dog if she's taking too long outside, I'll be like visualizing her going to the bathroom. It's like, let's go, mommy's gotta go. And she'll get it. So it's like, oh, okay. And then she'll go to the bathroom. She'll do what she has to do. So it's through visualization, seeing that first, and feeling. So when I know I'm jumping into the animal or speaking with the animal, sometimes I'll actually hear words. And when I was a kid, that kind of made me a little nervous at first every now and then with Chico and the cat. He was a good boy. And I will hear that it depends on the animal. But some animals are like, not too bright, God bless them, they're wonderful, but it's like, lights on, nobody home.
I love how you looked at me because my poor little dog Moose. He's so bless his little heart. But that's how he was. He was just kind of like, doop, doop.
Moose, dude.
He's just like, what are we doing now, Ma? You know, like there's not a lot there, but he just does what But that makes him very obedient because I'll be like, Moose, come. He like comes right away. And then there's my dog Chia. She's more spiritual. She's like, I'm gonna take my time because I want to enjoy the outdoors.
Right. So they have their own personalities, and so again, and I'll see what they see. If they're hungry, I'll all of a sudden I'll get hungry. It's like, you want to eat, and I'll be like, oh God, okay, you're hungry. It's like, okay, and I'll feed them. So it's just being in tune with them, but using every sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say everything.
Sense.
There's a lot of feeling. A lot of visuals
and smelling, using their senses, because obviously, like I said, a dog in Spain, just like a baby in Spain, they don't speak Spanish, but they can communicate because it's visualization and the feeling. So it's all of the above, and that's how I've been able to help assist with lost animals. Is I jump into them, I communicate with them, and I ask their owners or their guardians to visualize my face. And just kind of say, okay, she's safe, she's coming to help you. And then I will visualize their owner and I'll say, okay, your mom sent me or your dad sent me. Then the animal knows I'm safe. And then I can talk to them. I can feel what they're feeling. I can smell if they're near water or smell what they're smelling. Hear sounds. I mean, I've drawn images of what they see, and it's helped people find them.
And you found some animals in where?
In Scotland.
Tell that story?
Yeah.
Wait,
did we even say what she did?
Yes.
Oh, we did? Okay, psychic medium.
Well, they've actually been...
Animal communicator.
There have been several. And don't forget Kentucky and Florida.
Okay.
And right here in Fall River.
1 second. Someone is... let me check and make sure we're good with sound.
Okay.
Because... Got a couple people on the
Or they say they couldn't hear.
chat. One person did. Yep. So let me make sure. Let me see. Maybe it's okay. But tell that story.
Yeah, sure.
While I double
Okay.
check this,
All
please.
right. I was contacted on Twitter one night. I was being an insomniac, and this lovely lady from Scotland contacted me and asked if I could help her find her mom's 2 dogs. And I never like to know.
People are commenting, so there's definitely sound.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a lot of people commenting, so let me go just look at some of that. Okay.
Okay. Oh, actually, that was the first one. Probably the easier one to talk about because the other one was a little bit longer. But there's Ruby and Jade. We found the mom. And okay. So the other one that you first mentioned was Anya. I was contacted by her mom, actually a mutual friend who had heard about Anya going missing, and I felt that when I tapped in with her, I felt that she was lying on a dish. She was sideways, and I felt rocks around me, and I was cold. I was outside, it was gray, and I felt that if she wasn't found soon, she was going to die. So I left a message for her mom. I messed up the time when I called Scotland, because I was like right here in Warren. And when I called Scotland, I missed her. So I left a message, and she knew immediately. There had been a ravine that she had walked around, and it was like a 30-foot drop, but she had never gone down into it. And she was actually going to rent a helicopter, and she knew where to go. She got down on her hands and knees and went down into that ravine. And she called for her dog, and the dog was so weak. There was a farmer that was like throwing trash there. He was using it as a dump. And she heard the dog, and the dog took every bit of strength she had. She'd been out there a week, and she couldn't walk anymore. And actually the rats had started eating her leg. And she wagged her tail and whimpered, and her mom heard her. And that woman carried her, picked her up. She was a border collie. Her name was Anya. And there was a write-up actually in The Sun.
What newspaper?
The newspaper, thesun.uk, it was on the cover and everything, about Anya, and they called her the Mystic Mutt. Actually, the article's still online. Actually, you can still read it. But
Wow.
but I felt that, and I felt that her life was going, and I mean, that was a beautiful experience. There was another little dog, Dana, also in Scotland. Her mom had heard about me because of Anya, and then Dana was I believe she's a Chihuahua Papillon mix, and I felt that she was near a wood pile. She was near a farm, but I felt that she was going in and out of a tree line, but safe from, there were foxes. And I knew she wasn't going into the woods, but she was hiding in the wood pile. And that's what they found her on a farm, and a farmer trapped her, and there was the wood pile, and they knew where to look. So, those were a couple anyway, and some others people wish to remain anonymous, but those were write-ups. In fact, and the other one, Ruby and Jade was the first one, and Ruby and Jade was the daughter, and Ruby had been found 3 weeks after they went missing. They had fireworks, and I feel really bad still about Jade, but she's happy and doing okay somewhere. But Ruby was found, and I had a beautiful picture of Jax. Jax, I love you. And Jax had written, she was right where you said she was. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful reunion. So there have been several.
Wow.
Several. Little Chihuahua in
I
Kentucky.
love hearing these stories. I'm like,
Yeah.
tell me more.
And,
Yeah,
I've got testimonials, and the little Chihuahua. There was a Chihuahua in Kentucky who went missing, and I told the owner about a garbage can and aluminum and a fence, and she said, in the testimonial she wrote, you would think that was just like not a big deal, but the neighborhood I was in, there was only like one house like that, and it was the last house. It was getting late, and she knocked on the door, and the guy came, and she followed the clues, and I said where the trash cans were. She knocked on the door, and the guy came to the door with the dog.
Aww.
Wow.
Because so it was it's a pretty cool thing. But I see, I smell, I hear, and it's usually pretty quick.
I think if there are audio, it's because we're talking low. You're
Okay.
much lower than I am, of course. So I turned it up a little bit.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, cool.
All right.
Awesome.
It's a big Italian voice.
Italian voice. Okay.
Wow, that is awesome stuff.
That was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
It's
And you
pretty
do
cool.
the same because you're also a psychic medium, so you do the same communicating with the deceased.
I do. Thank you.
Mhm.
I do. I speak to those who've passed on, and
Mhm.
and that also was a gift from a little child. I saw angels in my room, saw my great-grandfather who had passed,
Mhm.
and so when I'm doing a reading, if sometimes they'll come through,
Mhm.
and sometimes they don't, and then there are times when we could just do a straight mediumship session,
Mhm.
and if they wish to come through, they do, and I've never had one not come through.
Mhm.
So, and I do small galleries. And it's the same thing. When I'm communicating with someone, I don't really want to know much about them at all, except maybe a name. Or if they just say, I want to meet my grandmother, I want to talk to my grandmother. Generally, 9 times out of 10, I will feel how they died.
Mm.
And I don't know how they died. So if I feel a chest pain, actually just the other day, I felt like my chest was crushed, but only in a certain area. And this young lady was killed by her airbag as she was driving.
Mhm.
You know, so I'll feel that, and
What's up, Mama?
oh, sorry, I'll just talk to the mic now.
Yeah.
So I'll feel how they passed, and that way you would know
Mhm.
that I've got the right person.
Right.
Because one time I was doing a reading, and someone said, I want to speak to Gloria. And so I'm like, okay, Gloria. And I kept getting 2 different people. I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm losing my mind, because there was a younger one, and then there was a little old lady like a grandma who was bending over an oven and baking, and so I finally said to the girl, I said, you know, I'm getting 2 different people, and she's like, oh, there were 2 Glorias. There's my cousin and my grandmother. And I was like, she goes, I want to talk to my grandmother. So, you know, you have to be a little specific, and then, you know, the same thing. It happens occasionally, so.
She's like, not you. She wants to talk to me.
That's right. And that'll happen too. The loud one will come through. You might want to talk to Grandma, and Grandpa will want to be the one talking.
Mm-hmm.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease, so whoever's louder,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
it's cool. It's a beautiful thing to be able to do. Because there are people sometimes when they've crossed over, they haven't had the chance to say what they need to say.
Yeah.
So it's closure for both people.
Mhm.
So you could say, tell them I love them, but then they're saying, I'm sorry, and I didn't get a chance to say I'm sorry.
Yep.
And then they can have peace.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. When you first did that, was it? Were you afraid or anything, or was there any fear there when you first started to do these things?
I'll tell you, when I first started to read, I
Mhm.
didn't want to be able to speak to the dead. And I could,
Mhm.
but I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because, you know, you don't know what you're going to attract. You know, if some crazy spirit's going to come through, you know, when you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
And for a week, I had no gifts at all, because I didn't want to do that. When I
So you kind
finally,
of like blocked yourself?
I feel like the universe or God blocked me. It's like, oh, really? Because I just gave you this gift, and that's like me giving you a present, and you saying, no, I'll take these earrings, but I don't want the bracelet. Take it back.
Mhm.
So when you're given something, you take the whole thing,
Mhm.
and I only was willing to do part of it. So once I accepted it, it's like, okay, I'm going to be safe. Everybody's going to be safe. I'm not going to bring anything home. Once I realized that, then everything opened back up again. And they first started coming through in readings. And then when I just first did straight mediumship, a woman came and she wanted to be able to talk to her brother. But the father came through, the mother came through, the brother came through. I felt like it was Sunday afternoon at their house.
You talk.
And I got to feel like how everyone died. It was really special that day, let me tell you. And she was crying, I was crying. It was great.
Mhm.
Very healing.
I'm glad that you talked about. I don't know if you had another question, but I'm glad that you talked about accepting your gifts.
Mm.
Because I went through what now I know was like the shaman sickness. And it's when, like, I had always accepted my gifts. Like, I was like, I wanted, like, even more. I was like, I want more gifts, you know? And I'm like, bring me everything. Let me know what my path is.
You, like, have no idea when you say bring everything, like, don't do that. It's
No,
it's
I
like
know.
praying for patience. Never pray for patience.
Because you'll have a lot
you'll
of things that you
trials
have to be patient
to give you
for.
patience.
Yeah.
You get more trials if you
Yeah.
pray for patience.
Yeah.
Don't pray for patience. Say, I have the patience to handle this. I can do this. Thank you, God. Don't ask for more.
Because then the universe will bring you things that you need to have patience for.
Yeah. Yeah.
But basically what I was saying is
Take
I didn't do, like, actually perform my gifts or give them out to the world because I was so focused on, I went to school for psychology and I was in the mental health field for 11 years and I was, a behavioral therapist working with children and I did some research, and so I was, like, so focused on, the 3D world, as I like to call it, of, I have to pay my bills and I have to do this, whatever. And so I kind of, like, pushed my gifts to the side a little bit, and I was like, well, I don't have time to do that. Like, I need to devote a lot of my time to my actual job. So I had, for a long time, like years, just, like, all these issues, and I would go to the doctor, and they're like, you're fine, like, besides I used to run with my dog a lot, so I had, like, a torn meniscus, but both of my knees hurt all the time, inflammation all over the place, like, just, like, insomnia, and, like, I'm like, what is going on? And as soon as I left that, and I, made peace with the fact that, maybe it's that part of my life is over now, and I came full force into my gifts, like, it's like, boom, like, I'm so much better, feel happier, I'm not stressed out all the time, like, and it's just because when you're supposed to be on a certain path and you're, like, kind of being like, no, I don't, you're gonna have all these bumps in the road, you're gonna trip over yourself because that's not what you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be, on that path you're supposed to be. If you're supposed to be a healer and that's your path in this life, then that's what you have to follow. Otherwise, everything will there'll be, like, what are they called, roadblocks everywhere trying to guide you back.
Push you that, yeah.
Yeah. Same thing happened with somebody in my family who, for years she had these abilities that, like, literally came out of nowhere. Like, she was, like, reading people's, like, fingerprints, and you would think, like, how does that even work? We don't know, but that's what her gift was. And then she listened to somebody who said, oh, that might be, a person who's I was raised very Catholic. And so in her family said, that's not God's work, and, like, you shouldn't be doing that, blah, blah. She, like, shut everything off. And for years, she was just, like, lost. She felt lost. And now she's coming back into her gifts. And it's like they're coming back, like, full force in a good way. Because it's her time.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's all pretty interesting stuff.
Amazing.
Can I touch on something that you said, Karla? Yeah. I was brought up Catholic, and then I was baptized as a Mormon, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And
Okay, people are saying louder.
Okay.
Yeah, we just have to talk louder. Okay, we'll do our best.
We'll do our best.
See that yellow there?
I know. I get, okay.
If it's yellow, you're good. If
All
it's
right.
green, it's low. So yes.
All right.
Do you want to sit? Do you want to sit here? Because I feel like I'm, like, super loud.
All right, this is what we're gonna do. Only because.
No, let's just switch seats.
Boom, right there.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I'll talk louder. Okay. I'll
Because she gets
Microphone a little
like
closer.
spiritual and she gets zen.
Yeah.
Just remind, like, if I ever get up, like, I'm not gonna, like.
Hit that, you might.
People want to record me in a reading. I'm like, yeah, good luck. I tried, but I don't know. It's not gonna come out. All right. So I was raised the same way, and I was also, it was from the devil. You couldn't do that. But I would like to clarify something for the people who are religious or who believe in the Bible, is that the New Testament talks about gifts of the Spirit, and we all have gifts. And some are given to know and see things, and some are given to interpret. And I just want to clarify that and make sure people are aware of that. It's not, especially what I do. I mean, I use the cards as a tool. I don't really need the cards, but the things that we do are energy healing. Some people are afraid of it, and it's really our gifts, and the gifts come from God. If you believe in God or source or universe, whatever, we all have these, and it's not a bad thing. And I just want to let people realize that, and it's even in the Bible for the people who.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how into it you want to get right now.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're like, I'm super loud.
Yeah, you're loud. Now it's clipping.
She's in the red. She's in the red.
I'm blowing the speaker.
Let's switch. Do you mind switching?
No,
Yeah,
only
because
because I want people to hear you. There's a lot of people on, actually, and they're commenting.
Right.
which is nice. So they're very interested in.
So
in
play
this.
musical chairs.
So let's make sure. Yeah, we just make sure we.
All right, and I don't
Still
hit the
okay.
mic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Hi,
Be
y'all.
extra loud over
That's
here.
better.
Is
Yeah,
this
no,
better?
you'll be
yeah,
good.
I'm here. All right.
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys, for letting us know
Yeah.
Thank you.
about the audio because we definitely want you to hear. It's good stuff.
Do I need to repeat anything?
No, I don't think
No, I
so.
think we're good.
I don't
All
think so.
All right.
Cool.
Tell us a story about the doggy. No.
What was that? I'm like, wait, what was I talking about?
What was that?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
Can I talk?
We're,
Can I talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
So,
Sunday. This is about to go to church.
I'm going to church.
and we're not saying anything bad.
No,
you know,
not at all.
everybody has their own beliefs. You know, whatever you believe, that's what you believe, and I respect that. We're all spiritual beings, having a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I was gonna say is though, Jesus was himself a healer, and I'm not saying I'm Jesus. That's not what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that healers are this special breed. I'm saying that everybody does have these gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So and Jesus was part of the mystery schools, and this is something that not everybody is taught. But he was, a part of the mystery schools, and that sounds weird and witchy, but it's basically back in those days, you weren't allowed to say that you could heal people. You weren't allowed to say that you had, the laying on of hands would help. You know what I mean? Because people, there were the people getting burned at the stake and stuff
Yeah.
like that years later too.
Yeah.
So he was part of this community of healers. I think they called them the white robes. I forget what they called them, but they used to go and they used to perform healings for people in their communities. So this whole laying on of hands, I'm sure people at church have seen it happen. I know I, was raised Catholic. I would go to church and people would do, the whole speaking in tongues thing and all that stuff and laying on of hands. And so what we want to let people know is that everybody does really have that within them. It's just that you have to tap into it and not be afraid. So don't be afraid of your own power, because it's not, if it was given to you, if we're made in God's image,
Right.
how can we not also be healers?
Right.
We're
Yeah.
getting a little deep over here.
But I mean,
Diving deep.
that's a good point. That's kind of the thought that I have.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, a lot of people look outward, but we never look inward.
Right.
Yes.
We never look inward. But then logically, I'm saying, if it's something that I'm able to do myself, how can it be harmful for me?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so, well, here's another question though: is that, like you mentioned, be careful not to ask for patience, because then you might get trials and tribulations. Are there any things that can be harmful for you in these types of things? Like, are there any things to look out for? Or?
You mean in what we do?
I would say, I know what you're saying. Like, is there anything that you should look out for? I would say the biggest thing is you do have to understand that you're not using your own energy when you're healing. Okay, so if I did use my own energy, let's say, and I have somebody coming in with a lot of physical issues or a lot of mental health issues or stuff like that, if I were to use my very own energy from my body, from this physical form that I'm in, then I would get sick, or I would then take on everything that person has going on. Do you know what I mean? So what we have to do as healers is we have to ground ourselves, and grounding just means, you connect to the earth energy and you allow that energy to kind of make you immovable. So when there's, all this, the other person's energy coming, that's there, and I'm working on them, I'm not absorbing it. Do you know what I mean? All I'm doing is I'm being the observer. Mm-hmm. So what I was taught when I was being taught Reiki and stuff like that, it's you're a vessel or a conduit. So think of me, I had what was it that I thought of yesterday? It's almost like I am just the cup. So let's say there's a glass. So I am the glass, and spirit, or the energy that I use, is the water. Okay, so it's not so then you're drinking the water, the healing, but you're not drinking the glass. So you know what I mean? So I'm still an immovable force. I'm still there, and you're not taking me in, and I'm not taking you in. Do you know what I mean? All you're taking in is the life force energy, which would be, in this scenario, would be the water. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or did I confuse you more?
It makes
Okay.
Can I even break that down even
Yeah,
more?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so see that power? There's a power cord.
Oh yeah.
Karla plugs into the power cord. And as she's channeling that power, then the person would be the appliance or the computer.
Mhm.
So you got to plug the computer, you got to plug the cord in. So she plugs in, the energy comes through the wire, she's the wire,
Yep.
and then it just turns the whatever on.
Mhm.
That's simple.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Does that
Yeah.
help people?
Do you get it?
Does that make sense? Even, right?
He's still a
The wire.
little puzzled. Ask us questions. Ask us more questions.
we're getting like high energy here.
Yeah.
High energy. Yeah.
Could
it's good.
we try something maybe with like a more tangible energy?
Sure.
Do you think that would work? Or
Yep.
does anybody have questions?
Oh, let's see. If you guys have questions, definitely ask. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of comments here, though.
Yeah.
Fred Michael Hazard is very active here. I guess your explanation, he says, if you're a healer properly, then you filter and return people's own energy they share.
Mhm.
That's how he interpreted what you
Mhm.
were saying.
Yeah, it's like we can transmute energy too. So if you have, let's say somebody has like a lot of like negative emotions tied to their ankle, and that sounds weird, but let's say something happened in early childhood that's represented by the feet. So then what I would do is feel for that energy in their biofield or aura, whatever you want to call it, around you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would clear that energy block.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing is basically, because energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so
Mhm, mhm.
what I'm doing is I'm moving it out of that spot, or just transmuting it or transforming it into positive energy that can, give you energy to live, or give you the healing that you need for that area. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And someone just said louder. So, all right, we're gonna
Even louder.
Okay.
louder. All right,
Just gonna have a party up.
we're working.
All right.
Awesome,
So-
awesome.
I was gonna show a little bit. I don't know how it's gonna do with your sound, but if I could do this, do you think it's gonna the resonance of it?
I can always turn it down. All right, go
Okay.
ahead, go for it.
All right. So it would be a good tool to show you the energy of sound. Okay, because we're talking about energy and everybody's like, what does that mean? So this is a nice way for you to be able to feel energy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's see, and I hope. So this is a singing bowl. It's a Tibetan singing bowl. It's actually hand hammered by Tibetan monks as they're meditating. They're all in a circle, and they're all hand hammering it while they're saying mantras. So it's made with 7 metals, and it'll resonate at a different frequency, each various frequencies. And this is tuned to the heart frequency, which is the key of F, if anybody is musical out there. All right, so I'm going to hit it. And that it's in itself. Are we getting good sound on that?
Hit it, can you hit it harder? Yeah, there you go.
The mic is up here in case anybody's wondering why I'm doing that. All right, so now what I can do,
Mm-hmm.
and this sound can start to actually fill the room. I don't know if people can tell us if they can hear it. And now, without touching it, I want you to just put your hand near it. Do you feel the vibration?
Definitely, yes.
So that in and of itself is energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I work with, the sound healing part that I do, this is incorporated into every healing that I do, even like Reiki and shamanic healings. So what I'm doing is, as this is resonating, it's basically vibrating down to the cellular level. I know it's hard to understand, but sound carries very far and very deep. And so what will happen is, especially with, if it's resonating on the actual heart center of the chakra, it'll start vibrating your cells to the point where I can see it in my mind's eye. It almost looks like, like Alka-Seltzer or anything effervescent or soda.
Mm-hmm.
But Alka-Seltzer, because it starts at the bottom, it's almost like it starts to like vibrate you so much that it like the fizziness that comes off of you that I can see with my mind's eye, is any stagnant energy or any energy that no longer serves you.
Mm-hmm.
So what I start to see is almost like it's like vibrating off of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can feel that with my hand, and then I kind of can sweep it away from you. Or what I can also do, sometimes there's areas that are so dense. For example, if somebody has like something they're really, really holding on to, if they've held on for years, you know, somebody could have this constant weird like pain in the right arm or something. They're not having a heart attack, they don't have a sore muscle, it's nothing like that. It could be stagnant energy, it's just like literally stuck there. So I'm just demonstrating. So what I'll do is I can even start, you know, cutting into the energy and then, you know, sweeping it off. Sometimes I use breath. Sometimes I use mantras, which are, you know, words that you can use. They have like a certain frequency, a certain resonance. So yesterday, if you want to talk about it, we had a shamanic healing session.
We had a shamanic healing session.
Real quick, someone said that sounds like a lightsaber.
Yes, yes.
So they can hear
Let
it.
the force be with you. Yes. So what were you going to say about yesterday?
Okay. So yesterday, I was in need, like once a month I need a tune-up. And
because you see so many clients.
I see so many people, and I do a lot over the phone, but I'm still dealing with energy, and it can be tiring sometimes. It's mental work. So I was in definite need of a tune-up, and so Karla did a shamanic healing on me, and it was amazing. It's different than Reiki, and she drummed the vibration, the rhythm, the energy. I mean, I just totally had visions like all over the place, and she was having visions, and we actually had another shared vision at one point, and that usually happens when she works on me or I work on her, but usually when she works on me.
Louder, Mama, louder.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just looking at the little
See, I
thing.
got a little zen again. I
She
go
gets so
into
relaxed.
I do. I love this stuff. I love what I do.
Well, so when I was doing the mantra, it was like I felt like her actual body was like vibrating. I was vibrating. Like everything was vibrating, even in the room.
It was wild.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It was amazing, wild. And she ended up chanting, and I could feel it. And at several points, I felt weird little pains of things coming out that I didn't know where they were. Like, wow! And I feel great today. But I've not been feeling great for the last probably 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
And you just got done with stuff.
Yeah.
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 What's the difference between a shamanic healing and Reiki?
Okay. So
glad you asked.
I know.
So glad he asked.
I try to ask intelligent questions.
You do.
It's like we're talking to like spirit. We're like, it's the mic. So shamanic healing, as opposed to Reiki, is a little more dynamic, which means there's a lot more interaction going on. So for most people, I mean, yesterday we actually did it laying down, which I hadn't done yet with people, but usually I have people sitting or standing. Sometimes people can't stand for too long because the energy does, it's almost like it sways your body because you're, you know, a moving energy. So sometimes people can feel a little weak in the knees, or they need to sit, or because I ask them to breathe very deeply, sometimes that can make you a little lightheaded or whatever. But basically what I do is I'll have them sit, and I start with the drumming. And the drumming is very sacred in shamanic practice because it brings you almost like in a state of trance, but it also, the vibration and frequency of the drum is also helping to kind of like move the energy. So when I'm doing this, it's almost like it's vibrating everything. And I start my session by kind of doing like a little general sweep. So anything that was like easily able to come off of the person, like any stagnant energy that wasn't too deep, will start to come off, and then I'll work with layers of that. And then I'll also use smudging, which is a sacred energy clearing ceremony that uses sage, sometimes Palo Santo, to clear the energy. I use various forms of sound healing. I use crystals, and healing crystals, which we have right here. And then with Reiki, it's a little more of a relaxation modality or technique. So the person's usually laying down, you don't take your clothes off, it's not like a massage or anything. I do some like sweeping motions and stuff like that, but the person can fall asleep, they can take a little nap, they can go into meditation. So it's like, do you want to go take a little nap and just have like a little spa relaxation time with Reiki? Or do you want to really like put everything into it and work with me? To both of us, you're still working together, but in an unseen form with Reiki. Whereas with the shamanic healing, you're working together. I'm telling you to take deep breaths. I'm telling you to cry. I'm telling you to, make an audible sound. Like a lot of people do a lot of shallow breathing in life, and we're always like, like barely breathing. So I'm telling you to like let it out. And sometimes it's funny with the drum. People seem to have a lot more ability to let go, because it's almost like the drum.
It's primal.
Yes, it's primal. So it's like that remembrance of where we came from, and it shakes everything up, and it kind of does make you a little emotional at times. But it's that emotion that's been pent up that you need to release. Like I had a couple clients, and I'm like, breathe a really, really deep breath, and they're like. And I'm like, okay, let's try it again. Take a really, really deep, deep breath this time and make a sound. So I'm like, make that big sound, because that's the sound frequency of the heart. So I'm telling them to really let it out. They're like, I'm like, all right, let's. So then I start the drumming. As soon as I started the drumming, it was like this big, it was literally almost like a transformation. Like I saw them almost like a volcano, and it was just like, and I'm not saying this is going to happen for every single person that gets a shamanic healing. You don't have to worry about that. But for this person, they had so much pent-up energy that when I did that, they were able to cry it out. It was like wailing, and they, it was just such a necessary release that they needed to have that they couldn't have had maybe if it was a Reiki session, because we weren't as interactive. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Reiki is channeling that energy, and it's healing, and it's going in. It's going where it's needed. The shamanic healing is really releasing and getting stuff out in a different. It's really releasing and getting things out. It's two different things, but it accomplishes the same thing in different ways.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
Exactly.
It's just what you prefer, actually, too.
Yeah.
You can try both and see.
Yeah, because some people come in. And, I have one client that comes in and she's like, my life is so hectic, I want to take a nap here. This is the only time I could ever in life take a nap and be relaxed about it.
Yeah.
So for those people, I'm not going to make them do things because they want to come in and relax and just, not think of anything, go off, they snore, they do whatever they need to do, right? And so then there's for other people who maybe they can't sit still. For, I do 45-minute sessions and 60-minute sessions. So some people may not be able to sit the whole time and not move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for those people, maybe they want that, or maybe they just want something that feels a little more, how do I say it, tangible to them. So if I'm doing the drumming, if I'm making them do the, breathing, or if I'm using the sage, if I'm chanting, all that stuff is helping them see, okay, there's like stuff happening where it's maybe a little bit harder for them to really think anything's happening with the Reiki. Do you know?
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Got it. Wow.
And so I don't know if we wanted to get into a little drumming, or if are we doing on time, or.
Oh, I don't even. Time doesn't even exist. Does it exist?
Time does not exist.
Time is just an
Everything's
illusion.
in a circle. That's right. Our past lives are happening concurrently right now.
You guys enjoy the.
That's the other thing I was going to talk about.
What?
Oh, do you have comments or questions? Not right now.
No, not right now. But
okay. There's been a lot of people tuning in. Oh wow!
Hi guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
People.
Yeah. So
do drumming.
Do
Fred
drumming.
wants the drumming. We're about to get into the drumming, Fred. Fred's always supporting the show.
Thank you, Fred.
I think Fred's
Thank you.
where's Fred, in Atlanta or something like that?
He's in Atlanta?
I think so.
Oh, cool.
Something like Carolina or whatever. Well, yeah, she's going to get into the drumming, Fred. Just for you, buddy.
All right. So, I don't know. I'm like trying to think. Like, do I do it? No. We'll just drumming for now.
Do.
All right.
Do
So,
what you feel prompted to
this
do.
is a natural rawhide elk skin drum. And so, let me just, okay, good. So because it's a nice moist day, it's true because
that word.
I would call it damp.
Nobody likes that word.
Damp.
Damp.
It's a damp
you know what
day.
I'm thinking about? Because because I usually have to put water on it because it's so
She
dry.
has to moisten it.
And some different this is not the comedy routine.
I'm trying to be good.
You're being real good today.
You are.
I've been
You
good.
are
You
being
are.
very good.
Yes.
I have to say. I was scared. I was
No,
like,
no,
he's
no.
a comedian. We're gonna get roasted. Like, what's gonna happen?
No.
All right.
I mean, there's just so much. There's so much there, but
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm generally interested, though.
Okay,
That's
good.
why.
So what I was
talk
trying to
about you
say,
tomorrow, though,
it's a
Yeah,
damp
that's all
day, so it's good for the skin. It's good for our skin, therefore it's good for this skin. When it's a dry day, like we had, I think it was Wednesday, like right before that big storm hit. It was really hot out, and I had this, and I was drumming on video, and it sounded bad because the skin like gets really tight. So right now it's perfect. All right. So what I start to do is, first of all, I get in, my Zen mode, and I call in my guides and my ancestors, angels, all that, spirit animals.
She called in the team.
The team, the entourage. Okay, we all have a little
We all
entourage.
have a little team.
So I start to get in the rhythm, and then you really start to feel it. Like I do this close to the body. When it starts to get to the point where I feel there's like an energy block that needs to be dispelled or, moved away, washed away, I'll do. Person. And if you're in an emotional state and you're like trying super hard to not let that out, and I start doing that fast drumming, I didn't do it, all in the same sequence that I usually do it for time purposes, but when I start doing that really, really fast vibration, it starts to just like shake everything up.
It's like a rush. It's a rush. You can feel the energy come out of it. You can feel it.
Even as I'm doing it, I'm feeling like I get like goosebumps all over my body, and I, usually I'm more, I have my bare feet on the ground. I have my sage going on, and I'm doing this drumming, and I'm also breathing. Asking the person to breathe very deeply and sometimes faster. So sometimes I'll say, go with the beat of the drum so I'm doing, this is the heart. And we can start getting into it. And then as soon as I'm doing this, you're literally like letting everything out.
You're basically giving birth.
It's
like giving birth.
It's like you're unleashing all that stagnation and energy that that no longer serves you.
Yeah, the drum is powerful.
Didn't you feel it?
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't even close to me, right?
Yeah.
You said you put it close, but
when you're sitting and you feel it and you're in it and it's because it's rhythmic.
It's like it rocks you into that
rhythm.
Yes.
You go right into it and then you feel it and it is primal. It's like you go back. It's almost like it touches your DNA. So it really hits you and it goes.
It touches that primal force within you where you recall somewhere very deep in your DNA and your cellular structure. It recalls the time of our ancestors, everybody's ancestors, when we would sit around the fire, drum, and use rattles and all that stuff, and we would chant and be in a community. So it's not just this drum that's doing the beat. It's like there's a lot of unseen stuff happening at the same time.
Right. Shamans work on the spiritual level. They heal on the spiritual. Reiki is energetic, which spiritual is energetic too, but it's two different things. And I think it helps you more emotionally when you are able to physically release and feel it. Whereas Reiki, it's just a different way of doing it. Yesterday, I was exhausted after this session. I was like, I could barely drive home.
But
you
was
know.
it?
It was and it took me a while, and I felt it. I felt light. Remember I said I felt like empty. I felt clean, like I felt thin. I felt like there was nothing to me because I had released so much junk.
Yes.
And that I absorbed.
Yeah.
You know, and when I do what I do, I put up protection. I make sure I'm not taking anyone's energy, and nobody's hanging around after I hang up or after I'm done with people. I don't have their ancestors or their spirit people hanging around. And so it's very powerful, I have to say.
Yeah, and then I didn't even do the chanting this time, but
Yeah, wait till
for
she
another
chants.
day.
Wait till she chants. It's so cool.
Well, if you want to see her chant, you can definitely reach out to her, both of them.
Yeah.
So tell the people how they can find you.
Me.
Yes.
Okay. So my main source of communication is going to be on Facebook at Rebel for the Light. That's my Facebook page. You can also book right on the page on the Book Now button, and you can see my list of services that I have up there. You can also see me on Instagram at the same Rebel for the Light, and you can direct message me on there. I do have to say I check Facebook more, but I'm trying to get more into checking Instagram as well.
Oh, awesome. Very easy. Rebel for the Light. REBEL.
Yes.
Rebel for the Light.
Yes,
And she is rebellious.
And I forgot to really go into this because I haven't really mentioned it. The
Okay, go
reason
ahead.
why it's called I actually changed my name this year, my business name, because of just all these things that have been going on. And since I was a little kid, I've been like, don't tell me what to do. But I've always, you know, straight A student. I did what I was supposed to do as a good girl, but I definitely have that rebellious streak in me, and it's mainly because I feel like you have to go with your gut. And so I am a rebel in the sense that I'm not going to do things exactly how other people do them. I'm not going to, dress how other people want me to dress. I'm not going to do my nails and put on fake nails and all this stuff because that's just that's how I am. So I am Rebel for the Light.
All
She
right.
is. She is.
She's hard-headed. That's basically what she's trying to say. She's hard-headed.
Yeah, kind of.
And you, Jenny, how can they catch you?
You can reach me on my website, psychicjenny.com. Facebook page, Jenny Weeks International Psychic Medium, same as YouTube. I'm on Instagram as well, and Twitter. So you
Everywhere.
got me. I'm everywhere.
She's everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
You got a MySpace?
No.
Does that still exist?
Well, I can't remember how to
Almost
log
everywhere.
in. Well, from years ago. I can't remember how to log in, but I had one. I was one of the first.
Wait.
I was.
Nice. Well, this was great. I enjoyed the conversation. I definitely did, and
Thank
I
you for
know a
having
lot
us.
of guys enjoyed the conversation.
Definitely. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for joining, for commenting.
Hey guys, thank to all of you guys. Look at a lot of comments.
Awesome.
Thank you for all you guys tuning in and checking out
Thank
the
you.
podcast. What did it say? Someone's still commenting. They're still commenting. My company is Rude Island Clothing and Designs. Rude, basically meaning rebel. Rude boy.
Nice.
Oh, that's Fred again.
Well, we are known
Fred.
as Rhode Islanders.
We love you,
just
Fred.
saying.
Yes.
We are.
Fred's
Thanks,
the
Fred.
warrior. Thanks for hanging in,
Nice.
Fred, for the whole episode. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people come in and out. But thank you guys for tuning in. And again, this is how we do it on the podcast. We bring interesting people in our community that are doing some stuff. So if you like what you heard, this stuff interests you, check them out. You met them, you know them. We're all friends now. And check back next week. And we'll my birthday's next week,
Oh, what is it?
May 28th.
Oh,
Nice.
happy birthday.
Yeah. So I don't know. We may have a podcast. I'm not sure what we're gonna
We'll
do.
be eating some cake for the podcast.
You Gemini?
I'm a Gemini.
Nice. Very creative. Now I see.
Yes, I am a Gemini. I have two people in me. And someone was talking about that yesterday. She's making a joke about Gemini. Blah, blah. Gemini, because they always say, "Oh, I don't need a Gemini because we're known to be, I guess, wishy-washy, whatever."
Yeah.
But for me, I don't think it's that. I just think that there's two different types of dynamics. Like I'm an engineer, but I also stand up and tell jokes. So I'm a nerd, but I'm cool. You know what I mean? And those things are normally considered opposing each other or not supposed to happen, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I'm a rebel too.
There you
Basically.
go. There you
I have to
go.
do what they tell me I'm supposed to do.
We're all
right.
rebels right here.
But,
I am.
but yeah, sorry. All right, guys. All
Take
right,
care.
Let me take out.
Thank
I got
you.
a little outro here.
See you
I got a little
soon.
Outro. Play some music and stuff like that.
Awesome.
But this was awesome. Glad you was able to stop by.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for
for
having us. It
having
was
us.
fun.
I hope you guys heard her. She's so
I hope so. I apologize.
We'll
and
work
that's,
on that.
you know, we'll work on that.
And then next time you should just beat the drums.
Yeah.
And have
I'll just
her-
come in. I'll just do a whole session with you on air.
I used to play the drums.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
Play the drums, guitar. No, I played the drums.
Yeah.
Not that
In a
drum.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do stuff. You got to do what you got to do. Life is about enjoying it and doing it all.
You heard that? She said life is about enjoying it and doing
Doing it all. Doing it all.
All right, everybody. Peace.
Take care.